A time of radical change is coming, when the sign of Taurus will appear before the world in a completely different guise, full of calm and firmness, a little verbal, but confidently asserting itself. It will be Taurus, which will be impossible to break, deceive or subdue. In May-June 2025, a series of 7 rare astrological phenomena will burst into life like an electrical discharge. The old Taurus will disappear, giving way to a new one, free from illusions and obligations, ready for new accomplishments. Such a Taurus zodiacal circle has never seen. His complete reboot will begin. The first harbinger of change will be the maximum of the Aquarid meteor shower on May 5. This event will symbolize the awakening through fire and speed, the very inner impulse that Taurus could only dream of. The celestial spectacle of meteors piercing the night sky with great speed will be reflected in the symbolism of this day. There will be a sharp internal change, as if the body was connected to a powerful source of energy, and the mind instantly switched to another mode. Taurus will enter a new life cycle and, starting from the 1st and 10th houses, will receive a powerful impetus to action. The impact of this event will be especially noticeable in the areas of career, physical health and personal boundaries. In professional activities, the inner leader will awaken. If earlier Taurus preferred to avoid conflicts, to remain part of the team and not to draw undue attention to themselves, now they will declare about themselves at the top of their voice, "I did it, and this is my achievement," without false modesty and fear of hurting someone's feelings. This influence will be especially pronounced in the 10th house, which is responsible for profession, goals and ambitions. If before Taurus sought approval from the outside, now they will begin to dictate terms themselves, leave unhealthy work teams, take responsibility for projects, open their own business, if possible, or openly demand a promotion. In the field of health, Taurus awakens a powerful instinct of self-preservation, as if the body, tired of neglect, gives a loud signal. Diseases that previously managed to stifle medications, will now worsen, but this will not cause panic, but, on the contrary, will be a stimulus to action. Taurus, finally, will turn to doctors, pass the necessary examinations, such as MRI, exclude from the diet of harmful sugar and revise the sleep schedule, and not because of fashion trends, but because of the inner conviction that it is time to stop harming their own body. This impulse comes from the 6th house of the horoscope, responsible for health and daily habits. If earlier Taurus showed patience, now they will begin to actively act, revising their approaches to nutrition, physical activity and rest. And this is not just a temporary fad. There will be a serious purge in the Taurus environment. They will stop striving to be convenient for everyone, spend time on explanations and tolerate unpleasant people out of a sense of duty. Now Taurus silently but forever exclude from their lives those who pull them down. This is the influence of the 11th house, responsible for friends, groups and social connections. Taurus will carefully evaluate who brings benefit, and who only takes away energy. For example, if a friend has been complaining about life for years and only calls to cry, she will be blocked without regret. Taurus will not even find it necessary to explain the reasons for their decision. They will simply start living a calmer, more harmonious and easier life, giving up the habit of complaining behind their backs and discussing others. This is only the first day of the 7-day period, but it is already obvious that we are not talking about cosmetic changes, but about a real reconstruction of personality. Taurus will become different by remembering their true nature. And this is just the beginning. On May 12, the full moon, also known as the flower moon, will shine on the horizon, heralding a period of decisive action for Taurus to rid themselves of anything that is hindering their growth. This lunar peak will catalyze a ruthless but necessary internal pruning aimed at creation. The luminary will shine on the axis of finance and resources, where Taurus traditionally feels at home, because his zodiac sign is associated with material well-being, stability and confidence. But now the ground beneath Taurus' feet will no longer be a shaky mire. The full moon will shine a bright light on all those aspects that hold back forward movement, outstanding debts, overdue payments, unfulfilled obligations, and past financial blunders. While Taurus may have been under the illusion that problems would resolve themselves, he will now make a firm decision to act. Taurus will take responsibility for losses and debts, not allowing himself to wallow in self-pity. He will not look for someone to blame for the circumstances or shift responsibility to others, recognizing that he made the decisions and now must unravel the tangle of problems. Taurus has always been characterized by a sense of duty, but previously it was often accompanied by internal resistance. Now he will act without unnecessary emotions. In some situations there will be a sudden completion, in others, a revision of the conditions, and in others, the rejection of what is no longer useful. It is important to remember that karma catches up not with those who are unable to pay, but with those who deliberately bring the situation to a critical point. This is not just a single event, but the activation of the 2nd and 8th astrological houses, symbolizing mine and someone else's. Financial attachments, credit obligations and even inheritance issues, everything will undergo a thorough analysis, rethinking and revision. During this period, Taurus will show its inherent practicality and realistic view of things, discarding illusions and acting on the basis of facts. If you have to give, then with a clear calculation, and if you lose, then with the realization of the need to clear the space for new opportunities. In the financial sphere, Taurus expects a period of strict self-discipline. Representatives of this zodiac sign will abandon the practice of chaotic payments on loans, when payments are made randomly, in the hope that it will go unnoticed. There comes a time of clarity and punctuality, each payment will be made in a strictly established time and in the exact amount. And it's not about fear of repercussions, it's about respecting yourself and your finances. Restoring control over cash flow is a direct consequence of the influence of the 6th house of the horoscope, responsible for discipline and order, combined with the 2nd house, symbolizing personal resources. Taurus, as a fixed sign, always strives for stability, but now this desire takes on an active character. There comes the realization that having debts takes away freedom. Consequently, the goal becomes clear, to repay existing debts and prevent their recurrence. Taurus is not ready to sacrifice their basic values, security and control over their own lives. For the sake of achieving financial freedom, they are able to give up even the usual comfortable laziness. Control over finances means control over life, and this, in turn, opens the way to solving any problems. According to astrological predictions, the flower moon does not symbolize romance, but rather a dawning after a period of purification. Taurus, being an earth sign, does not thrive on chaos. However, after clearing the financial rubble, they are able to produce tangible results. This period is significant and its effects will be felt for a long time. At the end of May, a rare celestial phenomenon will occur. The moon will be in close proximity to Saturn, Neptune, and Venus, which will have a noticeable impact on the Taurus sign. Under the influence of this astrological trio, Taurus will be transformed, as if cast from concrete, intuition and accurate calculation. Saturn will endow it with structure and a sense of responsibility, Neptune will sharpen intuition and open the vision of prospects, and Venus will return a sense of personal value, financial stability and lost taste for life. The moon, finding itself in such unusual surroundings, will unleash the hidden qualities of Taurus, which until then had been dormant. He will find not just external stability, but internal stability, independent of external circumstances. In the professional sphere will awaken his legendary endurance, a quality that many have already forgotten. If earlier Taurus could succumb to procrastination, depend on mood and hesitate to make decisions, now this will change. Taurus will act decisively, without unnecessary discussions, delays and complaints. This is not a short-term burst of motivation, but an awakening of a deep inner resource. Henceforth, labor will be directed not to obtain approval, but to achieve independence. The 6th and 10th houses of the horoscope, responsible for daily work and career ambitions, will unite into a single whole. Taurus, as a fixed and earthy sign, is not prone to abrupt starts, however, once it enters the working rhythm, it turns into a real machine. Each morning will begin with specific things to do, and each action will be aimed at achieving the set goals. In the financial sphere for Taurus comes a period of conscious frugality. Haphazard economy, dictated by fear or fatigue, as well as impulsive spending, designed to drown out stress, are a thing of the past. Chaotic actions are replaced by a rational approach, due to the influence of Venus, ruler of the second house, in conjunction with the moon. Finances cease to be unpredictable. Now every ruble will be under strict control, and the risks, carefully weighed. A financial safety cushion is formed and a clear goal appears, while Taurus does not give up the usual comfort. Being connoisseurs of quality, they will pay not for fleeting emotions, but for real value. Financial flows, which for a long time remained disordered, will finally be put in order. Expenses will be planned with mathematical precision. Taurus in money matters likened to a farmer who expects a bountiful harvest from his investments. And this harvest will certainly be harvested. Sharpens financial sense, rarely inherent in other signs of the zodiac. Taurus, who is usually cautious and requires detailed analysis to make decisions, now acts differently. While others ponder, he intuitively determines where the real money is hiding, and where, just bait. This is not gambling, but the result of experience and the ability to see perspective in the details. Neptune endows Taurus with a soft intuition, and Saturn immediately puts it to the test. If before there were doubts, now Taurus does not hesitate to take what lies on the surface, while others doubt the possibility of such a thing. No ventures, only real and tangible income. Even in minor matters, whether it is a part-time job or a quick order, Taurus unmistakably identifies profitable opportunities and chooses only what does not disturb his usual rhythm of life. This period becomes a test of maturity, which Taurus with honor withstands. He is not just a symbol of stability, but a collected, resilient and purposeful person who moves forward without fuss. June 1st is marked by the peak of the western elongation of Venus, which will bring dramatic changes in the love sphere for representatives of the sign of Taurus. This period will be a point of reference, a complete rethinking of previous romantic attachments. Taurus enters a new phase of its existence, where Venus, their heavenly patroness, appears in a different guise, not a languid dreamer, and cold, beautiful and independent entity. Taurus too is a renewed version of himself, breaking free from the shackles of the past, from the suffocating embrace of old feelings and obsessive thoughts. There is no more room for doubts and hopes for the return of the past. It's time to move forward, leaving behind everything that held you back. Emotional sovereignty becomes the cornerstone of the new reality. Taurus stops being hostage to memories and stops waiting for those who chose to leave. From now on, if they were not appreciated, doors closed without unnecessary dramas and tragedies, it is simply a statement of fact, not mine. The past is in the past. Taurus no longer have illusions that someone will once understand them, do not return to conversations that have long exhausted themselves. This is not a manifestation of anger, but a sign of maturity. Taurus too is the master of their feelings, not their victim. The departure of one person does not become a tragedy, but only makes room for a new one. In the sphere of new love relationships, a calm interest appears. Taurus does not become insensitive, but acquires a healthy prudence. If before the first spark could crush the head, now they look at a person more consciously, assessing his personality and life values. Excluded idealization and contrived Hollywood romanticism. Interest is present, but it does not force to throw everything and dissolve in another person. It is this new quality makes Taurus especially valuable in the eyes of others, because they can no longer be derailed from the intended path. They do not play, but observe, and if they decide to join the game, they do it sincerely and consciously. On the horizon of astronomical events on June 8, Jupiter and Mercury will appear in a rare and mesmerizing conjunction. For Taurus of the second decade, this phenomenon will be a catalyst for transformation. The influence of the planets will bring them out of the shadows, making them visible to others. Jupiter, the planet of expansion, will enhance Taurus' natural talents, and Mercury, the messenger of communication, will give their words weight and credibility. Even if Taurus does not seek publicity, their professionalism and competence will not go unnoticed. Their authority, based not on ostentatious self-confidence, but on a deep knowledge of their work, will become apparent in the team. Taurus will stop pretending to be modest and avoid responsibility, they will confidently defend their position. Colleagues, partners and clients will see them not just performers, but reliable and competent professionals. Taurus will learn to set boundaries, not allowing anyone to abuse their kindness, and this will be an important step toward success. Recognition in society will be a natural result of internal transformation. Previously, Tauruses may have underestimated themselves, preferring to remain in the shadows. Now they realize their value and are not afraid to make themselves known. They speak and write when necessary, sharing their knowledge and experience. Those around them will see in Taurus not only hardworking performers, but also strong, confident personalities. Taurus will stop hiding behind masks and fear other people's opinions. They will become open and sincere, which will attract even more respect and recognition. Taurus of the second decade, coming out of the shadows, will find a well-deserved place in the sun. June 21st is the momentous time of the summer solstice, when the day reaches its peak in duration and brightness. Taurus too, having gone through transformation, appears not as a pale shadow of the past, but as a shining light, throwing away all unnecessary and superfluous. This is the period when the earth breathes in full, and a person gains confidence and resilience, freeing himself from oppressive circumstances. Solstice symbolizes a turning point, and each person, as a part of this process, becomes its reflection. Taurus too no longer wastes time searching for meaning, he himself becomes its creator. All those who have hindered or continue to hinder, lose their importance. What was destructive is becoming a thing of the past. Now Taurus too not only realizes its essence, but also protects this knowledge, reflecting any hostile encroachments. Adversaries and stressful situations meet a powerful rebuff of psychic defense. There is no reaction. Period. No explanations or excuses. If before Taurus could get bogged down in other people's opinions, conflicts and resentments, now he is invulnerable to outside influences. He does not engage in battle, but simply withdraws, disconnecting from the destructive field. His energy is directed in another direction, and he himself determines its use, not wasting it on complaints, provocations and attempts at control. At the zenith of the sun, Taurus too remains calm and silent, becoming uncomfortable for those who sought to undermine him. Betrayals, alas, are inevitable, but in response the mechanism of cold cutoff is turned on. Feelings and experiences give way to emptiness. Betrayed disappear not because of anger, but because Taurus too is no longer in the dimension where negative emotions rule. This field is alien to him. He does not pass judgment, but simply cuts these people out of his life and history, without regrets and return. The worst thing for ill-wishers is the absence of revenge, only complete oblivion in the heart of Taurus too, which is colder than any payback. Taurus too no longer needs emotional outbursts to complete the stage. He turns off pity while maintaining his humanity. He doesn't harden himself, but becomes precise and authentic. Having reached the peak, he moves forward confidently, overcoming inner challenges. Taurus too is a unique version of himself, unavailable for manipulation. And if someone has not realized this, let him beware, for the boomerang of honor, conscience and goodness is on its way to those who plot evil. At the end of June, an interesting astronomical phenomenon will occur, the moon will approach Mars. This event symbolically echoes the inner struggle that many are having. The key to victory in this struggle is equanimity. Taurus too, instead of impulsive actions, prefers to analyze the situation. The moon, representing emotions, and Mars, symbolizing action, are engaged in a dance of sorts. In the past, a person could give in to impulses, which he later regretted, or, on the contrary, longed to endure and then explode. Now he is gaining the ability to control his rhythm, remaining not emotionless but controlled. This is disturbing to those who are used to manipulation, as their attempts to pull strings are unsuccessful. They are robbed of peace by the well-being of others. In situations fraught with quarrels and conflicts, control over emotions comes to the rescue. Taurus too no longer raises his voice, does not break down and does not enter into senseless altercations. He listens attentively and observes, but it is up to him to decide whether to react. Instead of holding back anger, he processes information. If he detects manipulation, he simply walks away, and if there is no point to the conversation, he ends it without making a scene or attracting attention. Calmness becomes his armor, turning from a weakness into a superpower. He stops wasting energy, directing it where it is really needed. A mature presence manifests in the family and with the children. Whereas before a person often acted as needed, automatically, through fatigue, irritation, and a sense of duty, now he makes choices consciously. He turns on when he feels the moment is important and turns off when there are not enough resources or meaning. He doesn't try to control his loved ones, he doesn't nag them, and he doesn't take it all on himself. Instead, he becomes a support rather than an overseer. His home ceases to be a battleground, becoming a place of strength. Where once he saved everyone, now he is simply a presence around. His stability is a support for himself and for his loved ones, for all those who love him, rely on him, care for him, and are dear to him. The Taurus 2 pattern has finally found solid ground under his feet, demonstrating enviable resilience and strategic thinking. Most importantly, he has rid himself of the veil of illusion and self-deception, no longer wasting valuable energy. This moment marks the beginning of a direct and unmistakable path to the future, full of vitality and worthy prospects. And this path is open right now, right in front of him. Taurus 2 should boldly go forward, because the world has been eagerly awaiting his transformation and is ready to accept his updated version.